It is standard law enforcement. If you have a neighborhood that is plagued by gang activity, it is standard and good law enforcement to direct more resources to work with the community that is facing gang activity to stop the gang members. It is standard good policing to direct your resources to where the threat is coming from. We should do the exact same thing with radical Islamic terrorism. Political correctness costs lives. And it is standard law enforcement, it is good law enforcement to focus on where threats are emanating from, and anywhere where there is a locus of radicalization, where there is an expanding presence of radical Islamic terrorism, we need law enforcement resources directed there. We need national security resources directed there. The object should be to keep Americans safe, to keep everyone safe.
Welcome everyone to the House of More Politics. Forgive me, but my sinuses are acting up and I don't feel like myself. I don't sound like myself, so forgive me, but we're going to get into this anyway. So the clip that you just saw was Senator Ted Cruz earlier this week, talking about how we need to bring back, or police need to be more involved in quote unquote Muslim communities. And he likened that to gang activities in urban areas and said, hey, what do you do when you have a influx of crime or an influx of gang members terrorizing one particular part of the city? Will you get more police officers to comb the streets and rectify that? And he's likening Muslims or the Islamic community, those extremists on the far fringes of it, to gang members, in saying that, hey, the police officers or the police precincts, that they should bring more assets into a certain community. Let's listen to what New York Police Department Commissioner Bill Bratton and Mayor de Blasio had to say about Ted Cruz's comments.
I would remind the senator he lives in the United States of America. And the statements he made today is why he's not going to become president of this country, because we don't need a president that doesn't respect the values that form the foundation of this country. I have over 900 very dedicated officers in this department, many of whom do double duty. They serve as active duty members of the U.S. military in combat, something the senator has never seen. So before he starts denigrating any population group, take a close look at who he's denigrating.
So you see the police commissioner pretty much called Ted Cruz out and try to get him to wake up and see exactly, hey, listen to what you're saying and listen to the discrimination that you're putting on a certain community. And you notice the mayor in the background giving his little, putting his little 2 cents in. All right, so now he goes on to a morning talk show and tries to defend or clarify his statements. But before I get to that, let's take a look at another video clip of Bill Bratton talking about Ted Cruz, and then I'm going to break all this stuff down. Watch how smooth I get.
Here is what Police Commissioner of New York, Bill Bratton, said this morning on this program. Here it is.
Doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. That, to be quite frank with you, I took great offense at that statement. I have almost 1,000 Muslim officers in the NYPD. Ironically, when he's running around here, we probably have a few Muslim officers guarding him.
All right, so Bill Bratton just came out and said, Ted Cruz, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So just be careful when you come to this city, because guess what? When you come to this city and do any kind of forums or any kind of rallies, me as the police commissioner, I may assign police officers that are Muslim or Islamic to be guarding you, that are patriotic Americans. So watch your mouth. That's pretty much how he said it. Now, how do you think Ted Cruz is going to respond to that? Listen to what he had to say.
So what do you say to that?
Well, listen, it's not surprising that the Democratic political henchmen of Mayor de Blasio are coming after me, and that is on the instructions of Mayor de Blasio.
He calls the guy a henchman. He says it's no surprise that Mayor de Blasio put up this conspiracy and got this henchman. He called the New York Police Department commissioner a henchman to go out and attack him and say all these bad things. So I'm gonna just brush my shoulder off because that's just a henchman hating on what I said. All right, it's crazy. One of the commentators tried to bring him back from the hate and say, hey, well, just take a look and listen to what he says.
And it could be because he simply thinks that patrolling Muslim neighborhoods is a bad thing to do in the interest of New York.
All right, so the commentator pulls him back, and watch how he try to divert and try to encompass everybody. Watch this.
Boy, you know, it would be striking if his position is that we shouldn't patrol Muslim neighborhoods and patrol every neighborhood. Listen, yesterday.
Okay, Ted Cruz, we're not talking about every neighborhood. We're just talking about your statement. Your statement was about particularly Muslim neighborhoods. Stop diverting. Now, that was that video of him diverting. Watch how he continues on. I see the commentator pulled him out of that diversion. He's going to divert back into it, and he's going to blame the Democrats. Watch this.
Listen, yesterday we saw a horrific terror attack in Brussels. And our prayers this morning are with the families of those wounded. But what is important is that was not a lone wolf. It wasn't an isolated attack. It was radical Islamic terrorism. It was ISIS that has declared jihad, that is waging war on us. And President Obama and Hillary Clinton, and sadly Mayor de Blasio, the elected Democrats, are so bound up by political correctness, they refuse to utter the words radical Islamic terrorism, and they refuse to be serious.
Okay, they let him talk. And by letting him talk, he got back into this lull, and he started speaking a lot of stuff that you've heard him say on the campaign trail. He talked about where he put in Mayor de Blasio. He talked about the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. He put them all in one big pile and tried to get the blame put on them. They let him talk, and he got into this easygoing mode. Now, they're going to bring him back. And watch this.
But the point is, you're suggesting that they should focus on Muslim neighborhoods more than any other neighborhood.
Okay. So again, the commentator tried to bring him back. Let's focus on your statements. Let's not blame anybody else. Let's just focus on what you said. So what is his excuse? His excuse is going to be why he said what he said because of what someone else did. Take a look at this. New York
City, under Mayor Bloomberg, had a program that focused on, worked proactively with the Muslim community to stop radicalization, to prevent attacks from radical Islamic terrorism before they occur. Now, what happened? Mayor de Blasio came in and decided political correctness mattered more than keeping people safe. He disbanded the program. Let me give an example.
Okay, he blames Michael Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg was the mayor prior to Mayor de Blasio. And he's saying that Michael Bloomberg, in fact, had a program where they more or less targeted Muslim communities, not necessarily Muslim communities, because there is no particular Muslim community in America, but that they did a kind of proactive investigation with the police department to where they put it in the regular rotation of a police officer's normal duties and tried to prevent or stop terrorism or terrorist attacks in New York City. And who did he blame? Again, Mayor de Blasio, because Mayor de Blasio stopped the program. But listen to what the reporter who did her research had to say.
Senator, you know that surveillance program was in effect in New York. It has been disbanded, as you mentioned. You also know it didn't lead to any leads, any intelligence tips. They said it didn't work.
Now, was Ted Cruz going to tell you that it didn't work? Was he going to tell you that the program didn't work? Of course he's not going to tell you that it didn't work. But listen to what his excuse is when she calls him out on it.
It is true that the de Blasio political henchmen say that.
She says it doesn't work. He says, oh, okay, we're back to the political henchmen again. It's fine. It's fine. We're just going to go back to the political henchmen because they don't know what they're talking about. See, he's diverting. And, okay, now he's been proven wrong. Well, I'm not going to say proven wrong. You go do the research yourself. But she came out with a different opinion about the program. Listen to how he diverts and goes back to something totally different.
And I'll tell you, as I travel the city of New York and as I travel the country, police officers over and over again, thank you for standing up and having my back.
That video was a little bit choppy, but what he's saying is, everywhere I go, police officers come up to me and say, thank you for having my back. What is he doing? He knows that what they're saying is hurting him with the police unions and those that all the police officers around the country that may vote for him. That's a powerful union. So what is he trying to do? He's trying to get back on the policeman's side and say, hey, I go all over the country and police officers say they love me. She caught the diversion tactic and tried to bring him back to the Muslim subject. Watch this.
So let me ask you, how many Muslims are in America?
Now, he should know that by her asking that question, she knows the answer.
I don't know the number off the top of my head.
He hesitated, and he had to step back into it real quick and come out with an honest answer. He had no choice. He was backed in, and he fell into a reporter's trap. And watch how she come back at him.
So you're saying that law enforcement should surveil a number of Muslims, and you don't even know how many Muslims are in America? There are 3 million Muslims in America.
Boom! And she drops the mic on him. But now it's her time to rant, and she's going to go off and explain to him certain things that she feels as if he don't understand. Listen to her tone when she's like exasperating and trying to let him know, hey, this is what's going on. You have no idea. And he picks up on one thing that lets him divert. Watch it.
Law enforcement is overwhelmed.
So you're saying we can't defeat radical Islamic
We have a
terrorism?
chief of police, one of the most respected chiefs of police, who was here earlier, who said there are no Muslim neighborhoods. It's not like Europe. It doesn't exist that way. It's impractical what you're suggesting. Also, it doesn't suggest it would lead to anything. It's more of a political point that you're making.
Nora, actually, you brought up Europe, and it's a good example. If you look at the attack in Brussels, it's a direct result of the failed immigration policies in Europe that have allowed vast numbers of radical Islamic terrorists to come to Europe. And they've been ghettoized in neighborhoods that have become isolated, that have become separate.
Did you catch it? She said something about Europe, and he picked up on that and started talking about Muslim extremism in Europe and how their communities were formed and how they were created and how they became to have Muslim pockets of communities in London. Why are you talking about that? Why are you diverting back to that? We're talking about America, New York, certain cities in America that have communities of Muslim terrorists. Ted Cruz, why are you diverting? Okay, now watch how she catch him on that.
Islamic
That's not
terrorism.
a similar problem that we have here in the United States.
Of course it is. There are communities in America.
Name one community, one city, where we have a large group of radicalized Muslims.
You have communities. You have communities, for example, in Minnesota. You have communities in Michigan with heavy concentration, and you have incidences of radical imams preaching jihadism.
Okay, so she catches him again, and he don't want to get caught up this time, so he threw out 2 cities real quick to say, hey, it's this place in Minnesota, it's this place in Michigan, where, you know, a lot of people know that Dearborn, Michigan is heavily impacted by the Muslim community. I mean, I guess there are more Muslim or Islamic people there than most parts of Michigan. I get that, but he just named out those 2 cities to say, but listen to what her question was. Her question was, name a city that has radicalized Islamists in that city. And what does he do? He just names 2 heavily populated Muslim cities. It's crazy. Okay, so after all of the diversions and trying to get this guy back in line, and he keep diverting, and they keep trying to bring him back, and they went back and forth. Another commentator comes in and tries to come at him at a different angle. And this is where I'm going to bring it all together. Watch this.
How about this point of view? There are so many people that say that your comments are decidedly anti-Muslim and that you're playing right into the hands of ISIS, that you're giving them ammunition to come after us, to really take action against us, that you're just teeing it up for people to come after us.
Gail, with all respect, people are fed up with the political correctness of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton.
All of this because of those 2 words on the end. Political correctness. He had never really used those words until a certain person. Take a look at this.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. Here's the problem with political correctness. It takes too long. We don't have time. We don't have time. I have a great education. I went to an Ivy League college, but I'm not politically correct. Because to be politically correct just takes too much time. It takes too much effort. We have to get things done in this country, and you're never going to get it done if we just stay politically correct.
And that's why Ted Cruz said what he said. That is the only reason why he said what he said, because he is trying to not be politically correct. He's trying to copy the mantra of Donald Trump. It's no different than what Hillary is doing with Bernie Sanders. If you go over the tapes, you will see how she's sounding more and more like him. And there was this big thing going back a couple of months where if Trump dropped out of the race, Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz would pick up those votes because they have the same ideology. So because they're getting further and further closer to the convention, Ted Cruz is starting to pick up some of the idioms that Donald Trump has been saying. That's the only reason why he said what he said, and he let it be known in that statement. So, hey, this is getting great. I broke it down for you. Again, you know, I'm not feeling that well, but I just had to get this out because it's been like over a week and I haven't put out any videos. But hey, it's going to get hot. It's going to get more intense. So keep watching the news. Keep watching this station because I'm going to give it to you. Subscribe, like, give me some feedback. And till then,